Good night, dear teacher Luis Milanés. You are very welcome to this video. So I'm going to talk about the lesson planning for the book 1001 Nights. Uh, this video will be divided in some specific parts. It's prepared for the class, and the first part it's important in the introduction of this class. And then I'm going to talk about the class objective. And then I'm going to talk about the lesson planning. And the last one is the evaluation. And also, it's important to talk about the conclusion of the class. And why it's important for me to talk about the conclusion of the class, because I think that each class, I will be a teacher in the future. And I consider that each class must to have a conclusion at the end, because in the end, the students can notice why the important was important, and for that reason, it's also important the conclusion. So that's all. I'm going to talk about the introduction of the class. So the introduction of the class is 1001 Nights is one of the most representative works of the medieval literature, a collection of tales of Arabic, Persian, and Indian origin that have profoundly influenced global narrative through fantastical and moral tales. This work transports us to a world filled with magic, wisdom, and reflection on human destiny. In this class or in this video, we will to explore how to internalize this rich literature work, focusing on its narrative elements and lessons. So, and how to implement in the classroom for high students, for high school students. And I forgot to say that this class is to the students for high school students, right? So the now I'm going to talk about the class objective, the class objective. So the main objective of this class is to internalize medieval literature through the reading and analysis of the tale from 1001 Nights, promoting an understanding of its topics and cultural values and moral lessons in order to foster critical thinking and literary literacy appreciation in the students. So, they are teacher. I am a student at to research in action in this semester at the university. I'm a student to the topic research in action. I've made a research in artificial intelligence, and during this class, I considered that it's important to promote the critical thinking on the students, because during my research, I've noticed that there are some specific things that separate the humans with the artificial intelligence. And for that reason, there are some specific things that separate the humans and the artificial intelligence. And one of them is critical thinking. And for that reason, I consider that it's so important to promote critical thinking on the students in each class, in on each class, because it's so important the critical thinking on the students, because it's one of the short or the small things that separate the humans and the artificial intelligence. And for that reason, I tried to this class promote the critical thinking on the students, right? And that is my class objective. So now I'm going to talk about the lesson planning. So, in this class, 1001 Nights will be introduced, highlighting its importance within medieval literature. We will begin with a short introduction or with a brief introduction about its origin and historical context, followed with by a reading of a well-known part, such as Aladdin and the Magic Lamp, to capture the students' attention. Then we will to read short histories, for example, Sinbad and the Sailor, highlighting key elements of the story, such as characters, conflict, and the moral on the moral things of the or each one characters. So the students will work in a small groups, analyzing the question about the values and listen of the story. At the end of the class, the students will write a short reflection on what they learning and how the history helped them better understand medieval literature and its teachings. So it's important that the students read the books and of the books like Aladdin or the different book that has 1001 nights book. So um, it's important that the students understood the personality of the characters because in that case the students can understand better the book. So also the students can to make your own reflections in each one books, your own reflection or why or what the students think about some specific characters or some specific books, or your own interpretation of that books or the characters of the personality of the characters. So then of that to first of all is to read the books or to understand the books, and then it's important to make an evaluation for sure. Yeah. So the evaluation will be based on the students' active participation during the group discussion, where their ability to identify and reflect on the story's values and moral lesson will be evaluated. The quality of the final writing reflection will be also will also be evaluated, considering the depth of understanding of the topic and the ability to apply as the story lessons to the current context. So the creativity and consistency in the presentation of the group work will also be key elements to consider. Yeah, the evaluation could be writing evaluation or the active participation with the students. But I think that the 1001 Nights is so important or so interesting book that it's boring if the evaluation is writing, right? It could be boring for the students. I rather that the evaluation could be an active participation. For example, at the end of the class, I can to talk with the student, talk with the students about the books or about the characters or the personality characters, something like that, right? So in the evaluation, I rather to do something more active participation. I like to talk with, and I would like to talk I would like to talk with the students about what they think about some specific parts of the book, or something like that. Because I think that in this specific class, it's better to talk about the characters, to talk about the personality, something like that. It's more important because for the students could be bored just writing what they think about the some specific characters. It's bored just writing, right? But if you made some active participation with the students, and I can make some specific question about Aladdin, right? Or also I can give to the students my thoughts about some specific characters. For example, Aladdin. Yeah, Aladdin. For example, Aladdin. Your the wishes Aladdin. was to becoming another person because Aladdin wants to be a king in a small town, with the only intentions to talk with a beautiful girl, and Aladdin wished to the genius of the lamp. The wish is to become a king, just for to pay attention of the beautiful girl, and take the attention of the beautiful girl. And there, and I can say there student, I consider that the 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 there are students. I think that to pretend to be another person with another personality, it's so bad. Yeah, each person of each student has your own personality, and the student cannot to pretend to be another person with another personality. And from a point of view, I consider that it's a so bad idea from Aladdin, right? And I share my thoughts about some specific character, and then I would like to listen you. For example, I select one student and I said, and what do you think about the behaviors or the Aladdin behaviors? What do you think about it? So, right? And there are some students that say that, yeah, for sure, if you have some wishes and if you can become that wishes in on reality, it's right because almost all people want to be a king with several money and something like that, right? And I can evaluate it, yeah. If the student has your own critical literacy, I can say right, the student has your own perception by the book. It's well, right? Because the student understood the book. It's right. Right. And for the other hand, I can make some open questions, and and here I have some specific questions that I can do during the evaluation. That is, how do the main characters in 1001 Nights reflect the values and beliefs of the medieval Arab culture? That's an amazing question, and I can evaluate it, the answer of each one student, right? Because this specific question challenge to the student, or the perception of the students about the book. Because if the students don't read the book or didn't read the book, the student cannot answer that question. Or another question could be, what role does magic play in the tales of 1001 Nights, and how does influence the development of the plot, right? It also it's a so hard question, right? And another question could be, what is the main moral lesson on the tale of Sinbad the Sailor? And who does it relate to the challenges faced by the protagonist, right? The student must to be right, read the Sinbad and the Sailor book, right? And I can evaluate it, right? If the student read that book, or what is the interpretation of the student about that specific topic, that specific book, or what the students think about the behaviors of each one of the characters on the Aladdin books, or the Simba or the sailor behaviors in the book, or what do you think about it, the behaviors of the characters of the book? I can evaluate it. But I say the again, I rather that this class is to the active participation, because and I can make these questions in a writing way, and the students just to write things that they don't consider, yeah. Because if the students say it in like voice, or if the student share with your thoughts with the class, the student can be more honest, right? Or the students can open your brain to share your thoughts about the book, right? But if the student just write, it's a so short write, because the students often don't like to write big paragraphs, right? And it's just 2 hours, and this book is for just 2 hours, or maybe for only 1 hour, right? And if the evaluation is or if the evaluation is grading, it's maybe you have to apart so much time in your parts to the student make something that they don't like to do. It's right? And for that reason, I consider that it's better if the evaluation is with active participation. If I can talk with the students, what is your thoughts about the books, right? And another question is the ethics way, and how the students interpret the behaviors or the action of the characters, and how to interpret it in the real life, or what is the knowledge the students has get during the books, or how the students can interpret some behaviors in your real life, or something like that. It's so interesting, this class, because if you can, or obviously if you can talk with the student, and you can know some specific thoughts about the student, and it is also important thing for a teacher. As a teacher, I consider that if you know some specific aspect of your students, it could be a so good idea, and this class could be a so amazing class for that, right? And the part of the evaluation is that, and I rather that in a open or in a group discussion. I consider that the evaluation could be better, right? So now at the end of this class, or at the end of this video, I would like to give some conclusion, right? And the conclusion of this class is 1001 Nights invites us to explore a world pilot with magic, wisdom, and timeless teaching. Throughout its histories, we learn about universal values such as justice, destiny, and virtue, which remain relevant today. This word inspires us to reflect in our choices and appreciate the power of history to transform our understanding the world, right? And I have a perception, if you are a literacy person, if you read several books in your life, your perception of reality is so different, because you perceive the life from different point of view, right? Because if you have read, I don't know, maybe 100 books, you know 100 histories, or stories, right? And and I consider that some specific action or some specific events in your life, you can to interpret it a different way if you have one several stories in your life, because you can to associate your real life with the lives of the characters of the books, right? And for that reason, I consider that the lecture habit is so important for the students, for me, for the teachers, for almost all persons. And the conclusion is this. I consider that it's so important to read the books to understand the behaviors of the characters of some specific events to the fantasy books, might be. And you can spend several hours in front of a book, and that's all. It's important, and I invite to the students to read more books in your life, and to interpret the real life with the books, because in this case is 1001 Nights. It's a fantasy books, but maybe in the future you can read some interesting books like general culture, or psychology books. It's so important, or math books. And it's so important. For that reason, the conclusion of this class is to invite the students to read more books in your daily routine. It's so important. And that's all. There's their teacher, and I hope that you like this work. It's so important for me. Your perception, or what do you think about this class? And that's all, their teacher. Thank you so much.